If you like stories about animals or stories about space, if you like reading stories, then you've come to the right place. So sit back and relax, my friend. Are you ready? Let's go! It's time for story time with our good friend Officer Joe. It's story time. It's story time. It's time for story time with our good friend Officer Joe. Officer Joe.
Hey there, friends. How are you? Welcome back. My name's Mr. Al, and I would like to welcome you back to Officer Joe's Story Time. Now, before we get into our story, be sure to go down there and click on that big red button that says subscribe. That way you'll be able to see all the videos that Officer Joe and I post. Now, without further ado, please welcome our favorite guy in blue, Officer Joe. Hey, Officer Joe, how you doing, buddy? Hey, I'm doing pretty good. How are you, Mr. Al? Hey, I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for asking. Can you say hi to our friends at home? Oh yeah, hey friends at home, how are you? That's so great to hear. So, Officer Joe, have you been doing any reading since the last time we did a video for our friends? Oh yeah, I read stories all the time. Oh yeah, did you read anything good? Oh, I read so many books the last couple days, I don't even know where to start. Well, that's perfectly fine, Officer Joe. That's great that you read so many books. Oh yeah, that's what I do with my spare time after I get done work. I like to come home and I like to read stories. Well, that's good for you, Officer Joe. You know, we've been reading so many stories here, we're going to have to take a trip to the library soon. Oh yeah, I'm running out of books to read. I have to take a trip to the library soon. So friends at home, the library, if you've never been there, is a big place that has a whole lot of books that anyone can borrow, take home and read, and then bring back to the library. And then you can always get more books. Yeah, it's my most favorite place to be. So, Officer Joe, do you want to know the story that we're going to be reading today with our friends at home? Oh yeah, let me know what story we're going to be reading. I can't wait. So, friends, today we're going to be reading the story called Clack Moo, Cows That Type. It's written by Doreen Cronin with pictures by Betsy Lewin. Wait a second, time out. Cows that type? Cows can't type, they don't have thumbs. I know, Officer Joe, that's the fun part of this book. Books can be informative, they can teach you new things, they can teach you lessons about life, like some of our old stories about being a good friend and being thankful for things, but stories can also be fun and funny, just like this story is. So, if this story is about cows, is this on like Old MacDonald's farm or something? Well, not exactly, Officer Joe. It's not on Old MacDonald's farm. It's actually on Farmer Brown's farm. Oh, okay. That sounds kind of cool. Do you think we can read it now? Of course. Are you ready to read the story, friends? Yes. Okay. So let's open up the book and let's get reading, friends. It's called Clack Moo, Cows That Type. Farmer Brown has a problem. His cows like to type. All day long he hears click clack moo, click clack moo, clickety clack moo. At first he couldn't believe his ears. Cows that type? Impossible. Click clack moo. Click clack moo, clickety clack moo. Then he couldn't believe his eyes. Dear Farmer Brown, the barn is very cold at night. We'd like some electric blankets. Sincerely, the cows. It was bad enough the cows had found an old typewriter in the barn. Now they wanted electric blankets. No way, said Farmer Brown. No electric blankets. So the cows went on strike. They left a note on the barn door. Sorry, we're closed. No milk today. No milk today, cried Farmer Brown. In the background, he heard the cows busy at work. Click clack moo, click clack moo, clickety clack moo. The next day he got another note. Dear Farmer Brown, the hens are cold too. They'd like electric blankets. Sincerely, the cows. The cows were growing impatient with the farmer. They left a new note on the barn door. Closed. No milk, no eggs. "No eggs!" cried Farmer Brown. In the background, he heard them. Click, clack, moo! Click, clack, moo! Clickety, clack, moo! "Cows that type? Hens on strike? Who ever heard of such a thing? How can I run a farm with no milk and no eggs?" Farmer Brown was furious. Farmer Brown got out his own typewriter. "Dear cows and hens, there will be no electric blankets. You are cows and hens. I demand milk and eggs. Sincerely, Farmer Brown." Duck was a neutral party, so he brought the ultimatum to the cows. The cows held an emergency meeting. All the animals gathered around the barn to snoop, but none of them could understand moo. All night long, Farmer Brown waited for an answer. Duck knocked on the door early the next morning. He handed Farmer Brown a note. "Dear Farmer Brown, we will exchange our typewriter for electric blankets. Leave them outside the barn door and we will send Duck with the typewriter. Sincerely, the cows." Farmer Brown decided this was a good deal. He left the blankets next to the barn door and waited for Duck to come with the typewriter. The next morning he got a note. "Dear Farmer Brown, the pond is quite boring. We'd like a diving board. Sincerely, the ducks." Click, clack, quack. Click, clack, quack. Clickety, clack, quack. The end.
That story was so funny. I loved it, Mr. Owl.
Oh, great. I'm glad you loved it, Officer Joe. What was your favorite part?
Oh, my favorite part was that the cows knew how to type on a typewriter. In real life, cows don't know how to type on a typewriter, and neither do chickens or ducks.
Oh, I know, and that's the great thing about stories, is that these writers, they use their imagination, where they make things up in their head, and the story is so much more fun to read. So like in real life, cows can't type on a typewriter, right friends? Or cows can't type on a computer, right? Right, cows can't type on a typewriter or a computer, so that's why using your imagination is so much fun.
Yeah, you're right, Mr. Owl. Using your imagination is fun. You know what I like to use my imagination for, Mr. Owl?
Oh, sure, yeah. What's that, Officer Joe? What do you use your imagination for?
Well, I use my imagination to pretend that I'm an astronaut, and I like to blast off into space.
That's a good idea, Officer Joe. I like to use my imagination to pretend that I'm a baseball player and I hit a home run out of the stadium and everyone cheers for me. Mr. Owl.
Hey, that's a pretty cool imagination you got there, Mr. Owl.
Well, thanks, buddy. So, Officer Joe, before we finish up this video, do you have an old-fashioned Officer Joe joke to tell our friends at home?
Oh yeah, I have a ton of Officer Joe jokes. Are you ready for a joke, friends? Great! So, where do cows like to go on Friday nights? To the movies!
That was a really good joke, Officer Joe. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, you know, it's one of my best jokes.
So, Officer Joe, do you have one more Officer Joe joke that you can tell our friends at home before we go?
Oh yeah, I got one more joke, and it's a knock-knock joke. Are you ready, friends? Great! Alright, Mr. Owl, you ready? Knock knock.
Who's there?
Interrupting cow.
Interrupting cow. Moo!
Oh, I get it. Yeah, that was so funny. I said interrupting cow, and as you said interrupting cow who, I interrupted you saying moo.
Do you get it, friends? That's pretty funny. Hey, after this video, tell your parents that joke. That'll be funny.
Yeah, that's right, friends. Parents love to hear jokes from kids.
That's right, Officer Joe. And That's it for today's episode, friends. So thank you for coming by and reading a story with us of Click Clack Moo, Cows That Type. That was such a fun book. I hope you enjoyed it just as much as we did. And be sure before you finish this video to go down there and click on that big red button that says subscribe. So until next time, friends, we hope to see you later and keep on reading those books.
Oh yeah, friends, keep on reading those books. We'll see you next time. Bye!